Welcome to segment 14 of the DM commentary. I'm Chris Perkins.
This Tensor's floating disk I keep reading about, is that just to carry miscellaneous small items? I can't carry the...
So we're really about to begin what is the centerpiece encounter of the adventure. A very large room designed to allow for plenty of movement so the characters didn't have to be clustered together.
You guys have a rope?
Yep.
He has it.
You all have
basic
adventuring
adventuring gear, I assume I got. Yeah, it's adventurer's kit.
So one of the features of the room are these floating clouds of eldritch gas, these sort of cold gas clouds. And this was my first attempt to insert beneficial terrain into the game. The dungeon has this pervasive cold theme, and for the most part, up to this point, the cold has been detrimental. Slick floors, things like that. But here, I wanted to give some love back to the player characters by making these luminescent clouds of cold mist that actually enhanced their attacks.
Make a loop. So, yeah, because I've got...
This is what, when you spend a healing surge, it's called using your second wind. You have a second wind card. And
Right, here I explain second wind for the first time.
Otherwise, the only other way you can get healing surges back is if you have a cleric who heals you, or grants you the ability to use a healing surge, or you have a generous bard who has...
I also do a little bit of retconning here, coming up
So if you spend your second wind...
in letting the players start spending healing surges for getting hit points back from the bat attack that they recovered from a few segments ago.
But it's probably worthwhile.
I've got to use it. I've got 6 hit points left.
That ray of enfeeblement I used against the bat was an encounter power, so...
As a DM, if I forget to mention something from a previous encounter or at the end of a previous encounter, like, for instance, oh, spend your healing surges to get your hit points back from fighting the bat, I have no problem bringing that up later in the game, as long as it doesn't break the flow too seriously.
Ow.
And if you took any damage from the bat and you want to spend healing surges, you can do that now. I think you were the only one who got slashed by the bat.
But you can only use one at a time?
Outside of combat, you can use as many as you like.
I'm going to drop a healing surge on myself.
You know how in movies
One
where
way.
the guys
Outside of an encounter, I mean.
Okay, so am I in...
You're in an encounter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we counted for that a little bit.
With the rope, you have no trouble. You have no trouble pulling the Warforged out with the aid of his own strength.
Okay, now there's an interesting little conundrum here. The heroes are now effectively split into 2 smaller groups. You got Bluebell and Steel Diamond together, and then the others are all still have to figure out a way across the broken ice. This is always risky, and as a naughty DM, I am more than happy to let 1 or 2 characters wander off on their own to see what trouble they can get into.
You can certainly inspect the area a little bit more closely if you want to.
I'll do a little...
Anybody who's listened to the Penny Arcade podcasts, Series 3, knows that it's never a good idea to split the party. Will Wheaton learned that lesson the hard way when his character wandered off on his own and fell into an acid pit.
The sarcophagus has some arcane runes worked into it, as well as several locks on it. You think getting it open is a bit of a...
locks, you said?
Locks, yeah. Getting it open is a bit of a skill challenge for those of you who have arcana or thievery. There's
DM tip number, I don't know, 125.
Probably a defensive thing.
Don't pile on the detail at the outset. Save some details to share with the players later. For instance, the details concerning the sarcophagus, that it has all these locks on it and all this stuff. That wasn't something I talked about when I first described the room, because it wasn't that important at the time. It only became important when Bluebell decided to focus on it.
Your Arcana check is really... He's gone.
Leave the friends, take the money.
You think that there's, if somebody tries to cross this or interfere with it, it could trigger some effect, a magical effect.
I'm going to keep that to myself.
You do know with an Arcana check, though, that there are ways to disable this arcane circle. Using Arcana, if you look at the runes etched in there, there's a whole bunch of dwarven glyphs.
Here I am describing the magic circle in detail and the runes and how it may be possible to disable some of the runes with magic or with thievery or by using history to recognize which runes are, yeah, whatever. All Doug cares about is the gold.
I'm first going to walk over to that pot of gold and take a closer look at it.
All right.
See what I mean?
Yeah, you see within the
Blah, blah, magic circle, blah, blah, sarcophagus. Just tell me about the gold.
made to obviously the guy who's entombed here.
Now, I put the gold here as a blatant lure.
You make an offering.
You sort of stir the gold around and nothing adverse happens. I was going to say your Arcana check also reveals that these cold little miasma clouds, they're actually kind of helpful. They're sort of an after effect of some magic that was cast here.
Here I am parting the curtain a little bit by revealing to Steel Diamond that the clouds of cold are non-threatening.
Cold damage.
Hey guys, if you stand in the blue stuff, it helps with this channeling.
So that you share.
Yes.
Hey, did you learn anything about here?
So Steel Diamond is more than happy to share information about the clouds, but he doesn't tell the party members about the treasure. How many players do you now do that?
And neither of you two have to make perception checks to hear.
The rogue finds like 4 gems on a corpse, and he tells his friends that he found 2. Yeah, we all know those type of players.
Sleeping dragon.
You got a baseball card?
It sounds like rapidly flapping wings or something.
Wow.
Wings.
He said somebody has a baseball card in their spokes.
Now,
I love that's where your head went.
this is going to be a disaster unless the rest of our team...
The sound of the wings was foreshadowing, sort of a warning to them that there's something else in the room that they can't see, but that they can hear.
And the claw looks fairly rigid.
They didn't actually pursue that, however.
Should I tie off a rope
Again, they're focused on the treasure.
to help you guys?
Oh, but here, while Steel Diamond is busy eyeing the treasure, Bluebell actually has the good sense to try to reunite with the party.
You probably have things like pitons or something you could hammer.
And I wasn't going to belabor the issue of getting Kainuk Sin and Renrock safely across the pool.
Make a zip line.
The fact that Bluebell took the trouble to secure a line was good enough.
Sort of floating bits of ice now.
How to break again?
Oh, that's right.
Somebody had too many donuts at lunch.
All I could think of at this time was, I want to get the characters back together, I want to get them to the main encounter and not lose any of the tension that I'm trying to build up.
Me.
You're the lightest, too.
So anyway,
All right, Jaundice, you're coming
that's
up.
one problem solved. I don't know what you guys are gonna do.
I'm gonna...
I don't know if I adjudicated the tensor's disc power correctly or not. I was too lazy to ask Dan to show me the card to remind me how the power works.
Bring up,
I jump on that
Kinukuk?
disc, travel, and then
Kinukuk,
Coily
what's
goes
her name?
"Wah," over the side.
I gotta look it up.
Pyramid.
Okay, so you fastened a rope on your
Are you sure
side.
you're not just reading your character class? Did you name your own guy? Yeah. Kainuksin?
Kainuk Sin.
I'm gonna bring Kainuk Sin up.
All right.
I was gonna say, the Smith's
So
laugh.
just a little bit
My
of
mother?
what's the sort of physics behind this?
So once the line was secured, I didn't make them roll any checks or anything to cross the rope. I just assumed that they were able to do it. Get across the fissure, and I'll get up into the room.
What's happening?
I've tied a rope around you.
Oh, Lordy.
You've tied it around your waist. Then I'm going to pull.
Look how much heavier I am.
He's gonna pull you into the water.
You'll basically be trolling him through 3 squares of water to get to the edge of the cliff, and then
Hang
you'll be
on.
pulling him up.
Okay.
Oh wait, that water has a cold effect. What if I threw a rope down?
I know that some of the players of the game here have taken a bit of heat on YouTube for not quite playing their characters optimally. But it's worth mentioning again that most of these guys are completely new to the D&D experience. They, have only looked at their character for about 30 seconds before we started to play, and they're still trying to figure out how all their powers and interact and how they work and everything. They're also working with pre-gens that were created by a member of my staff, so they didn't choose the powers that they have. They were sort of handed these powers and said, have fun, make sense out of it. And they do a commendable job, all things considered, and they sort of discover things as they go.
You may not have mentioned it, but I also think if somebody were to cross through that room.
So Bluebell doesn't make much use out of some of his ranger abilities that he has.
Anyway,
For example,
Kainuk Sin is coming up.
Ranrock isn't the most optimal barbarian, but hey, the important thing is everyone's having fun.
Good job.
You're welcome. You're welcome.